I know that you've all been prepared for this, but I thought I'd just remind you just the same.
Can you handle that, Blondie?
Game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
It was pure evil.
I want to buy some radio ad time.
Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel and Vinnie.
We got Carmack in the back, and this is Invasion of the Potty Snatchers. Let's get to it, motherfuckers. All right, Noel, this time we're back, and it's something a little bit different. We're not going to come back next week. We're coming back tomorrow. This is History of Horror. 6 movies, 6 days, 6 decades, 6 motherfucking 6. We're bringing the devil, and we're better to start if you're bringing the devil than Rosemary's Baby.
You have very few places.
You know what I'm saying?
God,
the movie that spawned, remember we talked about before, what's the sign of a classic? The imitations, and this is actually so classic that it spawned other classics.
Yes,
like The Exorcist.
Actually, that's a good way of putting it.
You know what I mean? Like
being so good that even its imitations can still rise to the level of classics.
Away from you, this fucking guy, shouting in your ears. But So what did you make of? Like, actually, I want to talk to you because this movie's pretty fucking old. It's from like 1968 or
68,
something.
yeah.
Have you seen this movie much? Do you hold it in the same kind of regard as you'd hold maybe an Exorcist?
100%.
And when were you exposed to this? Were you exposed to pre, post, or in around the same time as the contemporaries, or what followed the Omen?
Post. This is one of these films where I always thought I had seen it because it was Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
And I knew all the scenes. What have you done to his eyes? And, you know, guy's not
He's
the
got
father.
his father's eyes.
And all of that kind of stuff. And then I used to go to the Horror-Ton every year in Dublin. It's coming up pretty shortly, actually. And
is it on this year?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And Rosemary's Baby was on, and I sat down and I realized this is probably my first time seeing Rosemary's Baby start to finish as a movie.
You saw it in cinema?
I say, yeah.
That must be amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And it was just beautiful as well, because, you know, you're in a room with people who appreciate it. Yeah. But it was phenomenal for me, especially when you have the hindsight of looking at it 50 years later, and you're able to, like we said, we were talking about the imitations, you know what they are. Yeah. You know what came.
Like the influence.
Yeah, the influence. Yeah. It's just jaw-dropping.
Yeah, and as I said, it influenced other classics, you know what I mean, which is very rare, because a lot of times you'll get imitations, but very rarely they're good imitations.
Oh, exactly. Yes.
You know what I mean? But we got very lucky, and I think when you have the what's the word I'm looking for? At the time, the mindset where it was very satanic heavy in the 60s and 70s America, post Son of Sam and all that.
The Satanic Panic.
Yeah, Satanic Panic. Yeah, that's what it's called. And I even watched the documentary recently about the Son of Sam, and I watched about Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.
Same, yeah, I watched all those.
Both of them on Netflix. No, hashtag Netflix.
Hashtag Netflix.
I guess.
This video is not sponsored by Netflix or anyone.
Yeah, well, if anyone saw the studio.
But we are willing to sell our souls instantly. So
Netflix just call me. I'll sell it like a motherfucker. We kind of got lucky because of the Satanic Panic around that time. It spawned some of the most monumental.
That was the art. That was the market. Somebody said, "Look at this, tap into it." Especially if you're going to make a horror film, what are people afraid of?
Yeah, exactly.
And that has to be relevant to its time.
Yeah.
But this film, I mean, if you take out the
Just move your mic back.
Move my mic back.
Yeah, towards me.
Towards you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
But if you take out the fact that it was demonic and stuff like that, if it was just a normal cult, it would be a psychological thriller. It's a horror because it has that demonic, supernatural aspect to it, but it's an absolutely top. It's like a satanic Truman Show. Everyone was in on it, except her. Yeah, her husband. Yeah. In on it, her kindly neighbours in on it. There was that one girl at the start, a recovering drug addict, that was taken in, not in on it, dead pretty much straight away.
I think she was sacrificed in that mass, maybe, wasn't she?
Yeah, or maybe I was thinking maybe
they tried to do the ceremony where they impregnated her.
Would they try to impregnate her, but maybe she wasn't pure enough, or maybe
she fought back, or
something like that.
Or maybe she was rejected by the devil himself.
Exactly, but Roman Polanski did not break his back trying to explain everything to you. It was very much
hashtag rapist.
Well, yeah, but it was fucking. It was allegedly, I guess, yeah. But it was all. He really fucked with your imagination, and I think that's what good horror does.
Yeah.
It was all very much so from the perspective of Rosemary.
Yeah.
We
Mia
were
Farrow, amazing.
Mia Farrow, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Very method acting. She ate that liver. She sang the lullaby at the start, the intro of the
Well,
film.
she slept with Woody Allen. I'm sure the liver wasn't the worst thing she ever had in her
Oh,
mouth. Kids got jokes. Kids got jokes.
But she was spectacular.
Yeah.
I know she was it was Ruth Gordon got the Oscar, so it wasn't as if she didn't have incredible talent around her, Mimi or whatever the name.
Oh,
yeah, she got the Oscar for supporting actress.
Oh, in Rosemary's Baby, did she?
Yeah, in Rosemary's
she's
Baby.
amazing in that movie.
She was incredible in that movie.
Like,
so it's just it's titans in that film holding the story along.
Do you know what I think the 60s and 70s best represent in terms of the horror genre?
Go for it.
Is the use of suspense.
Oh my god!
Right, and if you look at the early 1980s movies like The Thing, The Shining, and what is so like they got a lot of gore in them and bloodshed and stuff, but they're very heavy on suspense because they're still the last remnants of because John Carpenter Halloween 1978 riddled with suspense. And I think like the more we kind of got further away from the 60s and 70s, that era, suspense is kind of being bled out in favor of gore. If you look at horror, and like I think when you look at this movie, this shows what you can do with suspense. You don't need gore, you don't need monsters, you don't need this, that, and the other thing. You can just play with someone's mind. And that's nearly more unsettling than seeing a demon baby, to see the devil, to see whatever's going on, these processes. Like, it's better to see it from her perspective, where it's like flashes of like imagery and I'm a drug.
I know when she was drugged and raped and all that kind of stuff.
Do you remember her husband? He's like, I didn't want to miss out on baby night.
Yeah.
It was kind of necrophilic.
Yeah. It
was like what?
And then she gets a call from the doctor. She's told she's pregnant. She's happy. I don't know what to tell you about that.
Exactly.
To be honest, I just don't think I'm going to fucking watch
like
that.
you know what I mean. Like it's like what? It's like consensual rape.
Yeah, I know. Like she's obviously. I mean, she did planned on it, but like, I don't know, dude. Don't. Just don't. Just fucking.
If your girlfriend's asleep, just leave it.
Yeah. But obviously, you know, his acting career starts to take off because somebody's suddenly stripped down with blindness and all of this kind of stuff. So things start to happen. But again, you were talking about suspense. When she gets to kind of meet all of the neighbours, I love just how everyone is just a little bit off.
Yeah.
Not so much so that if you were in... I've sat in situations and I've been waiting for X, Y, or Z to go to the toilet or to go get a drink of water or something, so I can just say, this is off, right? It's not enough that I could stand up and confront it because somebody is like, if somebody starts spewing racist ideology or something, that's really grotesquely in your face and you can call it.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to give a speech at a clan rally. Come on,
exactly. You know, they said I was main speaker.
Yeah, you know, exactly. I am the Grand Dragon. I believe I'm the Grand Dragon, yes.
Oh, am I just the average dragon?
Yeah. I believe you're a wizard of some sort.
Exactly.
Dragons kill wizards constantly. That's why I've got the purple, dude. I know way too much about the clan.
Actually, the fact that you got deep into the knowledge there.
Mississippi burning.
But yeah, if there was something so in your face like racism or threats of violence that you could react to, but everyone was nice and you know, they had good candor. They were smiling, but they were off, and it was beautiful. Because you talk about suspense. Another thing that this film had was fucking uncomfortable. Just that kind of way that it's not horror. It's not like, oh my god, that film. I've seen that film 30 years ago and I'm still uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know, I think when I talked about is It Chapter 2 when she meets the old woman and she's being weird. Remember Jessica Chastain? And I talked about it's like why kids and old women are creepy and why it creeps you out even more because they're supposed to be a non-threat. Like it's supposed to be like a safety net in society.
That's your association.
Exactly. You don't see them as a threat. So as soon as they make you feel like uncomfortable or feel threatened, it's even more
surprising to you.
Exactly.
Even. Because the big, absolutely huge 6'2", you know, wide guy comes in and he's got missing teeth and daggers for eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Like if you see like, you know, like a Quint from Jaws coming in, that guy's supposed to scare you.
Yes.
But the fucking, what's the old lady's name again? Sorry, you said a minute ago. Minnie. But like when her neighbor comes in, like she's not supposed to be unsettling. No. Like she's offering you steak and she's offering you food and she's offering you dinner and and all this shit. But she does make you constantly unsettled. Yes. And that makes you extra unsettled because why am I afraid of this weird little frail woman? And Roman, the husband as well. Like you're so unsettled, you feel like you don't know what's going on, and Roman just seemed to know everything that was going on. Yeah. You know, so there was so much assuredness around her.
that it really kind of helps with the whole she's going to lose her mind.
Do you know the Roman dude? He always reminded me of. Do you ever be like in the pub late and there's that dude that's like 60 and he's like touching young women but like hugging them for really long.
Yeah,
he reminds me of the guy that would hold your shoulder. Like when he's talking to you, you know,
like tickle the lower of your back.
Or like if he's sitting on beside you, start chatting to him, put his hand on your leg or something. Do you know that kind of that, I mean, he just unsettles me. He reminds me of somebody you'd find in like what was the name of that fucking old pub at the bottom of Main Street?
Johnny Hughes.
Please, bleeping out the name. but he was so, he sat down. He just seemed to like everything just seemed like a throne. I liked it. He just played that really strong like
character.
I own every room in me.
Yeah, exactly. And her kind of just, it was great because you had that. They insisted she go see their doctor and give her this health check and all this kind of shit. And she started going to HOH, her own doctor.
No, Hill was her own doctor. HOH was an old friend of some sort. I think their last landlord. Well, I think he might be like a friend. The doctor that she was going to from that mini centre to was Saperstein. So
my apologies. Yeah,
well, great surname.
And it's not one you hear often, is it?
I'm literally going to use that one of my stories. I'm just going to tell you now. It's like Potty Snatchers exclusive. If you read a book by me in a few years, you see a Saperstein. Got the idea right here.
Yeah, this was the moment that it was born. What did you think of her? She finds out she's pregnant, and everybody else is doing really fine and flourishing, and she's going to shit.
Yeah, it's my.
What did you make of?
That's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah,
her journey from when she gets impregnated. Like I don't know why I went air quotes because she clearly got pregnant. Yeah, I was like, I don't know why, but and nobody could have seen it, so I could let myself.
You could let away, but here we are.
Yeah, here we are. But
I just can't seem to stop confessing to it.
But I turned this on silent. Then sorry. Making sure. Sorry. No, my favorite part was her whole kind of descent into madness. But in a sense, it was her not even a descent into madness; it's her descent into sanity. In a weird way.
Her descent into realization. What you're realizing is so big that you can barely wrap your head around it.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the line where she's talking to Dr. Hill. She goes, "There's a conspiracy." And he's like, "Why are you talking?" He goes, "There's conspiracies, isn't there? And against people. And I think there's a conspiracy against me." She's so naive, but she's not dumb. And that's one thing I love about her. Like, she's really naive, but she's figuring it. She's like, "This isn't right. But like, why would my husband lie to me?" That's how she's naive. Like,
it was a very male-centric world that they built as well.
She was a very shrinking violet.
Yes. But like that, oh God, she just played that role so well.
So good, like
because again,
I got this done in Vidal so soon. It's all the rage. And like, I was like, well, you're feeding her to a demon?
Yeah,
come on, she's an angel.
You see, I just think everything came together in this film so well. Like you're watching the film and I'm feeling all these emotions, and as she's kind of realizing and she's getting sent the book, the doctor dies, goes into a coma and dies. She gets sent.
No, he wasn't a doctor, Hutch. He was just a family friend.
I know, but the other, he goes into, and then there was the other doctor, but he manages to get that book to her, and she starts to figure it all out. But at the entire time, you felt just as uncomfortable as she felt. The film got to its conclusion, but nothing felt rushed. Like everything felt so perfectly paced.
Yeah, it's over 2 hours long. It's 2 hours and 16
That's the thing. It doesn't, and it's one thing you go to a film, it's 2 hours long. It's an Avengers. You don't see it because there's like a 25-minute like fight scene that tears across the city, and it's just amazing, and it just seems to fly by. This film was so uncomfortable that you think you'd be sitting in your seat. You think it'd feel like 4 hours, but it kind of didn't. And that brings me to the word immersive. It was so immersive.
Like her performance though, like she's so subtle, like you know what I mean. She's constantly questioning her surroundings. But as I said, she's smart because she knows to question things. But she's naive. She's not because she doesn't know who to believe.
And she's not. She's not accepting.
Exactly.
But she also doesn't have any better answers than the ones that she's being given.
She gives in a bit too much sometimes, isn't it? Like,
but remember, I remember because I watched this film and I watched another film from the 70s, and I remember just that at the time you had to eat up the scenery. Sometimes it was a very 60s thing. Like you have to why what both hands against the wall. You wouldn't. You blah.
Very
no, you brute, and stuff like that. And me, for some reason, when Farrow did it, I didn't feel that hamminess, as in because I just felt like she was having absolute madness. and who's to say what that's supposed to look like for somebody?
And the thing is, well, like, she's a very innocent type of character, so she wouldn't... Like,
very literally wide-eyed.
Yeah, she wouldn't go, fuck you fucking asshole. She'd be like, oh, get away from me, you brute, or something. Because that's probably what she saw on TV or something.
Yeah.
And because she, in her mind, she's trying to, I think, like, the way the intro sets it up perfectly, it's like she's trying to create this picture-perfect world for herself, this life for herself.
It was her idea to have a baby.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was his idea.
It was his idea to have a baby?
Because he was like, let's have a baby. Right after he spoke with the devil cultists. She wanted to have a baby, but he was focused on his career. And then he was like, let's have a baby.
But that's what I meant. She did want to have a baby.
Like, man, when they move into the apartment, and I'm like, when they're walking through the halls, I would be like, I'm out.
Wasn't there like, so there was some like cannibalistic murders here and shit like that.
Man.
But the rent's good.
The rent's good. But they do some fucking job on that apartment. It seems like they spend a lot of money. Did they rent in that apartment or did they buy it?
Yeah, it might have been cheaper to buy it.
A lot of money into that apartment.
Yeah, especially if we're going to tear down some fucking walls here, man.
And like that apartment looked like it was from the 1800s.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Literally looked like Bram Stoker would be living there. You know what I mean?
But I love the fact they managed to build into the storyline very easily that whatever's been going on in here has been going on for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And again,
because Hutch is into that kind of thing. Remember, that's what they kept saying.
Yeah,
and it's such a lovely little throwaway line, but it's just clever storytelling.
But that's it.
There's your explanation.
That's all you need.
Because Hutch is into that kind of thing.
That's all you need. But even
he knows about witches. That's what she says.
There's so much in this film where it's like they do it quite well now. As in, you wake up and you're in the middle of a 28 days later, or well, actually that was quite explained. But let's just say where you wake up and it's from your perspective and you're the last of your kind or one of the last, or you survived that first day somehow and you don't know what's happening, because the reality is that unless you are at NASA or unless you are some sort of ambassador or government body, you probably wouldn't know. It would go, when the world goes to shit, you would either survive or not survive. And if you walk up in it, you wouldn't have a fucking clue. And this film was a microcosm of that, where a lot of the time she didn't get to figure everything out, because why would you? And I hate when film gets really bogged down in exposition and tries to explain away everything. Aliens did it, and then fucking Predator did it, where they just... I like the mystery. And even when it culminates to that baby in that fucking crib.
Yeah, it's so hard to know things. Like people, it might sound like a strange statement, but to know big picture things, like, it's so hard. When you're a kid, how much do you know about your own parents, about their lives?
Oh yeah,
very little. So like, if you're just an innocent thrown into a devilistic or satanic cult, how much would you know about what's going on?
Oh yeah.
Very little.
I think I was 20 or something when I found out my mother's name. No joke. Your name is Mary or something. She goes, oh well, my name.
I know her by a different name.
Yeah, she goes, no, my name's actually Bridget, but like Mary was like, I was like, the fuck did you just say to me?
We call her Lady Cottontail.
But she used to be like pretty much fluent, play the accordion and be pretty much fluent in Irish. No idea this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the truth. You just don't. You think you do, but you don't. Yeah. And sometimes you assume
you're in your own little bubble, no matter how much you think you're not. Like,
yeah, even a party that's coming up soon because it's my sister's birthday. A lot of stuff like you know this is going on tomorrow, right? And I went, no. And it was one of these things where while everyone assumes somebody's going to have told you, nobody told you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is this. Well, she's just
kind of what happened with Kevin in Home Alone, isn't it?
Yeah. Kevin. But this is that she doesn't get to figure out everything, and I love the fact that it doesn't bog itself down. That, and I always thought that culminated. I remember the first time. The first time I seen the ending to this film is years ago. Like I said, it was only maybe 10 years ago. I got to sit down and watch this film in the theater, start to finish, and I went, that's that's the first time I've seen that film.
Yeah,
but I've seen that ending scene where they're all sitting
and the expression,
and she goes up, and I remember being like annoyed. Because I was quite young, and it was like, show me the baby. Like, I mean, this is what the whole thing was about. The baby, the doctor comes in and births the baby. The whole rape scene, which was like the what did Michelangelo paint?
Michelangelo's David. No, it's the creation of some.
Yeah, but what's the something chapel?
Oh, the Sistine Chapel.
You see that?
Do you know what's hilarious? I'm actually currently building a Sistine Chapel plus 3D.
Wish I could help you, man. But. I always thought culminating, they had the satanic doctor come in. Everyone's obsessed with her pregnancy, giving her the drinks. It's called Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
And then it comes to the crib, and she just goes up, and she's horrified, and she's, what have you done to his eyes?
Yeah. He's got his father's eyes.
Yeah. And then I would Guy.
Guy's got normal eyes.
Yeah. The guy's not his father, Lucifer, or some shit like that.
The devil is.
Yeah, really, really. And then she even spits in Guy's face and stuff like that.
For good cause.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's such a slime ball.
He's such a slime ball. We haven't touched on that. How big a fucking slime ball was Guy?
Man, it's kind of creepy because I like Roy Schneider from Jaws, and he kind of reminds me of him. He's like his evil brother, Troy Schneider.
Troy Schneider.
Troy Schneider's gonna find out being Troy Schneider. It's so easy.
There is something great about I think in the day and age we live in, we'd call them the Joffreys.
Yeah.
The characters,
Jack Leeson.
Yeah, there's characters that are really,
Irishman.
really evil, and you really want to see them get comeuppance. But they're sly, they're clever, they're tactical, they're driven, and all of this. And then there's just fucking slime balls.
Yeah,
there's nothing there. And sometimes the best thing he could be to that is to not even be a 3-dimensional character.
Yeah.
He let Satan rape his wife to further his acting career.
Yeah.
I think that was it. There was no big, huge.
She kind of had this weird, foreshadowing to it. Remember, she's like, I suppose actors are like that. They're kind of self-centered. You know? Yeah. She said that. And I thought it was like a lovely little nod to about how horribly self-centered it really is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Because everybody else, say what you will about them, they were like believers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this was their religion, this was their cause, and the rise of Lucifer, and that to believe it. Yeah. The guy was like, I might get some acting roles in it. And I think sometimes you want everyone to be a very complex character, but I think he added to it because sometimes people are just that big a ball of shit.
Wasn't he?
And he was really good in the role.
What's his name? Troy Schneider. Oh, John Cassavetes. He's actually a really famous actor, right?
John Cassavetes, yeah.
And
the neighbours were the Castavets.
Actually, your man's
fairly close.
Your man's name is Roman, and everything. Roman Polanski, director. #Red.
Yeah.
But excuse me. But do you think Guy was turned from the first encounter with what's the Casavetes? No, that's his name.
Or did he know?
Castavet. What the fuck was her surname? Castavet.
Castavet. Yeah.
So do you think? Yeah. But you remember when he was speaking with Roman on the chair?
Yeah.
When she was out doing something with Minnie or something, they came back in, they were talking, and then he came back in, I think I'm going to go over and see them again tomorrow night. I think literally from the first interaction, they had him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hook, line, and sinker.
And especially when they see, he is, if everything's based on the corruption of man, he was just, he was, she was a golden ticket, but so was he.
Yeah. Because
he could get to her.
Yeah.
And
it was the perfect mixture because his self-centeredness and his he's so what's the word, kind of open to manipulation in terms of
you're not even manipulating him. Yeah. He's like, we'll take your wife, your soul, and blah blah blah. We'll give you the job. He's like, cool.
Yeah, I think her innocence and his self-centeredness or his egotisticalness was the perfect mixture for them.
Yes.
Because he was so easy to manipulate to their side, and she was pure enough, obviously, for
And that spoke to what you said, her naivety.
Yeah.
Because she ended up marrying and wanting to settle down and have a baby with Guy. So she there must have been warning signs that.
Well, he's an actor, so.
Yeah, well, actually, that's an excellent. That's a good answer. To be honest with you, that's a good answer.
You know what I mean? I'm sure many people have been fooled probably by actors and actors are actors and female actors, or do it's just it's actors? No?
Look, not everyone gets to be a pillar of society like a James Franco or a Kevin Spacey, but. I'd like to think there's some good actors out there.
Allegedly good people.
Good people. Allegedly.
So, what did you think of the way she kind of unwound the conspiracy? Or should we leave that to the second half?
We'll leave that to the second half. I think that's perfect.
So before we go to the break now, all right, I'm going to talk to you about what did you make of the Roman and Minnie? Because we touched on Minnie's performance earlier, and we touched a little bit on Roman. But what did you think of their way they interfered with their fucking because they seemed just micromanaging old people.
And there was such that kind of we call them helicopter parents and stuff today, whatever terminologies you have. Yeah. But she even when she comes in, she gives her the necklace, the one that smelled. That
what was it called? Something root.
Devil root or something like that.
No, ginseng root. No, tannis root.
That sounds right. Yeah,
that sounds right.
But she kind of comes in and she just takes it over person, gives it to her. It wasn't ceremonious.
Yeah.
And this could have been a massively relevant thing to Satanism, and this was really, really important. It marks her and all that. But she was just here.
So
and when they come in, it's almost like you don't even get to argue. As in, it's like when somebody comes over and goes, anyway, I baked the cake, you could just take that there, you can put that in your fridge. It's there.
Yeah, exactly.
You haven't got to, because like discourse is usually, oh, I couldn't possibly.
Yeah.
I just goes, no, of course you would. I'd really like you to have it, or something like that. But they didn't even, they had such strong presence that they could just be in your house and you would be doing the thing, you'd be making the drink they asked for, and you wouldn't really know how the fuck any of it
and
just
that's what
happened.
old people do, though.
And that's,
I love that, because you said it's not ceremonial. It's just like, oh, here, I have this. I thought you might like it. And
this is the woman who's going to bring your Lord and Savior, or whatever the way you think of him, into the world. But no, it's about getting the job done.
They're very smart at that. They do big things, but make it seem like such a small thing. Like when they're giving her the daily things, like, oh no, drink up, and it'll make you feel better. It's like, you know what I mean? They're not trying to say, oh, like, it's just like, oh yeah, just do it. And you would, though, as you're talking, like if an old person goes, drink the milk, and you're like, oh yeah, whatever, and you're just drinking it as you do. And they do that, so they disarm her. That's what they do. They disarm her the whole way through the movie.
My granny used to always throw me like a $5 or a $10 for a snack, even into my 30s and stuff like that. And I go, Gran, I'm in my 30s, I have a job. She goes, take it, get a snack box on the way home or something like that. And it's just that, like, I just no point in arguing with her. You know, there's no point in arguing with her.
That's the thing, though. Like,
and that was it. And they just came in like that, and they were so. Again, you don't remember a lot of push and pull because there didn't need to be. They just came in and they could. And
because they had Guy on their side constantly, that's how they kept like getting in there. It's like Guy is like, oh, they don't mean anything.
Yeah.
And like when he's saying that, and he's like, because like if you and Sheila or me and Lorraine, like even if someone annoyed them, and you were like, no, let them in, they're not that bad. You get to know them, you know, that kind of thing. Like, and like that's the kind of situation there. And she was like, I don't want them here. And he's like, no, you have to get to know. And that's what kind of disarms. Like, oh, well, if I trust Guy. So I must, Guy trust these, then I should trust them
by
too.
proxy. And maybe it is, and she's, again, her own judgment is skewed. Like, I mean, here I am, and maybe there's a perfectly logical explanation, and I think that I've been raped by a devil, and I think that I'm pregnant with the Antichrist and stuff like that. So if you're not even that's the thing. You could see yourself in Mia Farrow's role there, because the thing is, in actual life, if there's any logical explanation, I'll take it, because there's just the absolute craziest shit that I'm thinking. That would get me in the madhouse for life. And
that's what the doctor says to her. It's like, remember the Saperstein picked up from Dr. Hill's office, and he's like, come on now, no more talk of witches or you'll end up in the madhouse.
Yeah, no more talk of witches was exactly the line.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's the kind of thing, the situation we had, like, even in Ireland with the Magdalene laundries and women that were pushed to the side and shit like that, because, like, I'm not going to say I'm some sort of great feminist, but when you had fucking asshole dudes like that, just like literally going like belittling. That's what it was. That's what that whole era was, and that's
like
why
patting you on the head and saying they're there now.
He's like, witches, come on now, or we'll put you in the madhouse.
But that's it. That's why I said, like, the Satanic Truman Show, nobody was on her side.
And even
everyone was in it.
Yeah, no, we'll touch on the conspiracy.
Yeah, we'll touch on the conspiracy in the second half. So let's lead us to our breaks.
Yeah, so before we get into the second half of the show, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll be back. We kind of want to unwind the conspiracy, the really kind of more interesting parts of Rosemary's Baby. But I hope you like the first half, and I hope you're back for the second. So I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel John Tui.
This is Invasion of the Potty Snatchers, and we see you after break, motherfuckers. Now, a word from our sponsors.
Happy Halloween, 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 happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy Halloween, 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 happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horror-thon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Thanks for coming back from the break. This is Invasion of the Potty Snatchers. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel John Tui.
And we got Carmack in the back. And we're back with Rosemary's Baby. In the first half, we kind of broke down the characters a bit. But now in the second half, we kind of want to start off with the overarching conspiracy that leads Rosemary from being this poor, innocent woman to being the devil's handmaiden. So, Noel, what did you make of the slow, like we talked about, it's not the descent into madness, but her slow realization of what's going on around her? Is, I know she had some sort of, like, she was always a bit suspicious of them, and that's one thing I liked about her. As I said, she's naive, but she's not stupid.
Yeah.
But, like, this slow realization that what's going on is they're not just weird micromanaging older people, that there's this weird, like, undercurrent of like Satanism and satanic rituals and stuff. And as you said, the Satanic Panic was rife. I'm sure that would have played into her
100%.
into the mind and shit. Like, so what did you make of her finding out, and her talking to HOH that all of them are witches, or witches are them all? I think it was phrased strangely, wasn't it? Yeah, witches are them all was named the book, and it was an anagram. Do you remember?
Yeah,
And it's like
little brown kind of fucking
because it was
hardback.
because it was like the name is the anagram. She thought he meant the name of the book. Well,
Yeah. And she got the tiles and laid them out.
Yeah, Scrabble.
But it's got for one.
So many anagrams came up with were hilarious. I love the one where it's like, "This is totally me," where she opens her hand and she has one spare letter. Yeah, that's me 100%. It's like shit. So
if you take out this letter and put in this letter, and then get rid of a whole bunch of the letters, it's an anagram for. It just goes to show how easy somebody would be able to manipulate if you were able to get to the one person in their life that they would fall back on for the world to make sense.
Yeah.
For a lot of us, that's our partner. Yeah. Your best friend. It could be your family member. But they were isolated enough in that sense that they had each other.
Yeah.
And also what I loved is, because if you look at what we have now, let's just say we've seen films where somebody is trying to assassinate the president of the United States, and it's it's the Russians versus the Chinese, and it's all these documents to chase them down. Da Vinci Code, centuries of conspiracy cabals across the globe. But this one was this huge thing. It was the birth of the Antichrist, but it was all kind of in this tiny little location.
Yeah.
So it was a huge, tiny conspiracy, and I thought that was just so.
Yeah, it was nearly like happenstance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They just happened to move there, like, you know what I mean? Like, what did you think was, total side note, because it just popped in my head, of the scene where they're being shown the apartment, and why was that wardrobe blocked off?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because to me, it seems like, it's hardly like, kind of like, in The Conjuring, when they move into the apartment, not the apartment, the house, and the basement is walled off. Do you think she was trying to trap something? Maybe she was trapped maybe she was put in there. Yeah. And that's how she died. Because she was 90 years old, how could she move the thing?
It's actually, everything about this film left you with so many answers, but there was always the intention where it never felt like bad storytelling. It felt like,
because you wouldn't know.
Because you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But even now, like, the truth is, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because how many times you see weird shit, or you move into a place. Like, I've lived in many gaffs since I left my parents' house, like when I was a kid. Like, and like, fucking hell, the amount of weird shit. I moved into a house one time, had like a red bulb in the room, had a lock on the outside of the door.
Yeah.
And literally none of us stayed in that room. We just used it as a fucking storage room.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even like set up like a weight bench or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't use it. Like, literally, like, it was just a creepy ass fucking room, and it was like, what happened there? Why is there a red bulb? Why is there a lock on the outside of the door? Like, on the outside. Like,
human nature is to kind of, you move into a place and you would say, you become obsessed with, what is this shit? Then, like, as little as a week later, it's just like, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because I knew a place and the lock to the toilet was on the outside of the door, and that meant, what the fuck is
like,
that?
What the fuck, like, you know what I mean?
But eventually, it was just like, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
And like you said, you just don't use it.
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
I just do not use that shit.
Yeah.
But you stop questioning it.
Yeah.
Or eventually, like what we see happen to our titular character in this film is
Rosemary.
that it's all just so much. It's too much to take in.
Yeah.
So before you can get to the answer to one thing, she's moved on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And of course, all this is happening as a baby is growing inside of her.
Yeah.
So it was so chaotic that, I don't know. Like,
I love the way, like, they constantly make you seem like you can trust certain people and then pull the rug out from under you as much as they do her. Like with Dr. Hill especially. Was that Charles Grodin? No,
I don't think it was Charles Grodin. I had a look at the cheat sheet.
Yeah, his name would have popped out now. But whoever Dr. Hill was, but like, I just thought, like, that whole scene where you finally, like, someone's actually listening to her. So when you get that scene in a movie where someone's being like persecuted, or they're being chased, or there's like a conspiracy against them.
There's somebody who looks at you and goes, I don't think you're crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And they mean it.
Yeah, and I love the way way he rationalizes it for her to believe him.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I don't believe in witches, but I believe there's lots of maniacs in the city. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I believe that people believe they're witches. That's what he kind of saying to her, like, you know what I mean?
And that's everyone's gaslighting her. So this must have been just just a little grip of normalcy.
It's kind of like, it's like if you thought, it's like, so you thought someone was terrorizing your house and you thought ghosts. And you're like, well, I don't believe in ghosts, but I very well believe someone may be trying to think your house is haunted. And that I can look into. You know what I mean? That I'm willing to talk about, and that's why I can listen. And in a way, I'm rationalizing it in my own mind, but I'm helping you kind of rationalize it. And I thought that was a perfect way, because like in that moment, you're like, oh wait, he is a good guy. And even when I watched it again today, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, is he a good guy? I was like, wait, am I misremembering it? Because I thought he was suspect, and I was like, and then when he rationalized like that, because he's taking the books and. I was like, he's believing her too easily, and then he says that rationalization about, I don't believe in witches, but I believe there's a lot of maniacs in the city.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
You know? And then you're like, oh, yeah, cool. Maybe he's a good guy. And then, like, as soon as he tells her to go in and go sleep, I'm like, I think he might be a bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I mean, he's trying to get her to drop her defenses. Like,
Dr. Hill, Charles Grodin.
Is it Charles Grodin, is it?
It's Charles Grodin.
The kid for the win.
Did not see him as Charles Grodin.
Just got attacked by my bookshelf.
You did, yeah.
Fuck.
Well, I should do something.
Let's say read never hurt anybody.
God, that was Charles Grodin. I didn't spot it. That frustrates me.
Yeah, no, because I couldn't actually remember his name until they're just there now. And I was like, yeah, it was Charles Grodin. That's why he's like, because he looked so familiar to me, but I couldn't place him until there a second ago. That's the best thing when you start talking about a movie. You'll remember shit better, like, you know, than when you're watching it nearly.
The snowball effect of all these kind of things that we have. Kind of spinning, all the spinning balls that we have in this, or spinning plates is a better expression.
Spinning balls.
Like a kicked ball, perhaps.
Yeah,
all of the kicked balls.
What was your way of quantifying quality? What was it? How many ball licks or something? What was that one of the earlier?
Ball gargles.
Ball gargles.
Yeah, no, yeah.
How many ball gargles was Rosemary's
My barometers was ball gargles 1 week. I don't apologise for it.
Yeah,
but
ballrometer.
I'll put a question to you that's going to be quite a simple one. It's not going to be too much of a brain
2 + 2 is
What films do you think would not have existed or would have come into existence at a much later stage had you not had this? Because this film lends itself to universes, not just like not just this film and this film, but remember these string of films. Rosemary's Baby, has to have been. Like
we already touched on The Exorcist,
we touched on The Exorcist,
and that's obviously the Satanic Panic. We talked about The Omen. Antichrist is very similar in terms of its themologically. No, what's the word I'm looking for? But it shares the same similarity in its themes, whereas like the Antichrist, you know, but in Omen, it's kind of like nearly after what happened after Rosemary's Baby. Like it's like Rosemary's Baby was nearly like. Maybe her baby was the baby that was given away in the Omen or something. Like he actually linked them together quite easily, but like kind of felt like it belonged in that kind of same tone or something. Like I think when you had the success,
well, the Omen could have easily you could have imagined a universe where the Omen was the sequel to like Rosemary goes crazy and dies, kills herself, gets killed, whatever, and the baby goes into adoption to an affluent family. You could have imagined, because all of a sudden you have Damien. He's only a 4 or 5 year old child, whatever he was.
The creepy kid.
Yeah, creepy kid.
It's
all for you, Damien. It's all for you. But
stop looking at the camera, creepy kid.
But like even just go way further into the future. Like especially even films like Blair Witch and stuff like that. Were films where they realized we don't really need
to show
a monster here. Using people's own imaginations against them. Is an excellent tool, and not just a cost-effective one. Sometimes it's the best one. Again, I'm glad I didn't see the baby in the crib. First time I watched it, I was annoyed, but when I seen it, I was glad I didn't see the baby. Like it's
Jaws, still Jaws. If the shark doesn't keep breaking down, because you don't have that John Williams score, like doing him. Like sometimes, like just not knowing. Not seeing what's on the other side of the camera is way worse, because your mind's like, oh, what is it? Like, oh, what does the baby look like? Oh, what's the eyes? Oh, why is she so horrified?
Good storytelling, and you need characters that you give a shit about. And that's it.
And
If you care about them,
amazingly.
yeah, and characters that are good actors, because obviously that I know you can give a shit about average actors.
Mia Farrow makes you care about Rosemary so much, though.
Oh my god, so much.
Yeah, and
she look. No matter how you feel about her, like however naive or something like that, watch the conspiracy that whatever you want to call it, she gets caught. She didn't deserve it.
Oh yeah, she's
at all.
Total innocent, like
she was a total innocent.
Oh, she wants to live the American dream.
That was it. She was trying to get a little slice of Americana, you know.
Yeah.
She wanted to settle down with her husband and have a
big
kid.
city, like she's from Omaha, I think, no, Oklahoma was it, and he's from Baltimore.
Because I know he was just
because your man's like Baltimore's a great city too, and he goes like that, he clicks, and I was like, I bet he does that in real life, and because it just seemed like such a natural reaction.
It was a thing.
It's probably something John Cassavetes probably did. It just, just the reaction. Sometimes when you see an actor do a mannerism, to me it feels like something they probably do in their everyday life.
Oh yeah, even the grades, you take it something like De Niro, and there's just stuff that even he's done in all of his roles.
30 years ago when you make good movies.
30 years ago when you made good movies.
Said it.
That's what you get here. Controversy. Well, give me some examples. Like you were saying, Insidious and
no, Annabelle. Like Annabelle. I think like when I was watching Rosemary's Baby today, and I haven't watched The Conjuring universe for about a year, maybe less. I think I might watch that year, but can't remember. But like when you watch Annabelle, how that unfolds, the introduction, how she moves into the house, they're like building this American dream. I think she's with like a doctor, like which is kind of like back then, the doctors and pilots were thought of a lot higher than they are now. And so I just think that it kind of lent itself to that kind of thing where she's trying to make this picturesque, picture perfect life, and this like malevolent force slowly makes itself known in her home.
Yeah, and that's more when you generalize it like that. That's so many horror movies.
Yeah.
Especially the ones where, again, we're talking about the trope where the family, like, one parent is dead and the bitchy teenage daughter who's actually 25. So
oh my God, Dad! All my friends are back home.
It's okay that we're attracted to her, you know,
because she's 27.
Because she's 27 years old. Yeah,
because she's a lazy douche.
Because she's a mother herself. You know what I mean? Like,
well, even she like mothers nowadays could be easy 16.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but like when they move into benevolence, when they go somewhere looking for something good and find something bad, the haunted house. Yeah. All of that. I know this wasn't the first.
Do you ever see that meme? It was like ghost hunters going looking for ghosts and they find ghosts and they start running away and the ghost is like, it goes like what?
But I think that Rosemary's I think if you have to look back on like staples, like watershed moments for horror.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's a matter of opinion that Rosemary's Baby has to be.
Fact.
It's a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Because it was 1968.
Yeah.
It was a very exciting time for horror.
Yeah.
And
the year before the Summer of Love, wasn't it?
Yeah.
69 was the Summer of Love.
69 was the Summer of Love. And you had Alfred Hitchcock at the height of his powers.
Yeah.
So there was all these amazing ideas.
Suspense.
But even for me, if you had to give me, I don't know, 3 or 4 films that there had to have been, you'd have to say perhaps Psycho, Rosemary's Baby, probably Jaws, just because Jaws took everything we knew about horror and said, we don't actually need to do it that way. We could do it this way. It doesn't have to be supernatural.
Jaws, you wouldn't have the plethora of fucking monster movies that we have now. This obsession, this brain tired, but this obsession with trying to remake Jaws. That's what it is. Even the Jaws franchise as it went along, like it didn't fail. It did. It just like Jaws is just such a singular thing. It can't be redone.
Yeah.
And so many movies like Placid, you've got your retarded movies. Oh, sorry, not retarded. Sorry, the R word. Carl cut that. But you got movies like Sharknado, and you kind of got like
stupid movies.
Yeah, exactly. What's it called
Anaconda.
The Meg. Yeah, Anaconda. Like big movies that like the more and more the movies kind of got away from the film itself, the further and further away they missed the point, or they got away from the point.
Deep Blue Sea was
Deep Blue Sea is like let's just go bigger, go home. You know that kind of thing.
If they were like, sharks are scary. Yeah. What if they're like 3 times as big and as intelligent as people?
Yeah.
We get it. Yeah. No, of course.
You know what I mean? Like,
but that this is what we're always saying. More is not always more. Take your narrative and do it well.
Yeah.
Don't worry about, because more always to me feels like you're trying to compare yourself to something and then go bigger because that makes things better. Just take your narrative and make that a good film. And that Rosemary's Baby, I felt like it was just trying to be the best film it could be, and if that turned out to be a success, great.
Yeah.
And it was made with a lot of artistic integrity.
Yeah, and even though like Roman Polanski is a horrible human being, he's an excellent director.
An excellent director.
Yeah, and he wrote this movie.
This
really,
and
really well,
Chinatown.
Yeah,
are just
it's Chinatown, baby.
Yeah, are just two undeniably spectacular films.
Yeah,
like they are.
Yeah, and he directed The Pianist as well. I think as well. Like,
Well, did he direct The Pianist? Yeah,
I think so.
Well, that was a fantastic film too. But I think that this is a watershed one, and we were again all of these movies that we just simply would not have. So another thing you have to have for this film is just actual gratitude.
Yeah, in terms of Antichrist / possession, demonological films, it's on a par with the importance. Is like as we touched on Halloween with slasher.
Halloween with slashers is an excellent one.
You know
That's
what I mean?
another
Like,
one.
It's like as we touched on, like Scream was important to the resurgence of slashers, as when Halloween was the importance of the birth of slashers. Which something we talked about before. But like
Scream gave us self-awareness. That's the legacy of Scream for me.
I just think, for me, I think Scream, in the same sense that Halloween birthed Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all these fucking like all these amazing films or whatever, monster franchises. But Scream did the same thing in the late 90s going into 2000s. Urban Legend, I Know What You Did Last Summer, you know what I mean? Like all these, maybe even Final Destination, maybe like, you know what I mean? It's just like, maybe not so Final Destination, a bit more supernatural, but like, it just kind of gave this resurgence of slashers, which kind of has gone on to today. Slasher is still one of the most important subgenres in horror. And Scream did the same and became that way because of Halloween. And I think it returned to that kind of pinnacle because of Scream. We even touched on Halloween H20 was made in 1998, 2 years after Scream, penned by Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream. Do we get Halloween if we don't have the resurgence of slashers through Scream? So like Rosemary's Baby had, like, when you look at, like, we already touched on Exorcist, Omen, you even go as far as like Annabelle Annabelle, that it's like its lasting legacy for the terms of possession / kind of Antichrist type movies. The way most genres, subgenres in terms of horror, it uses suspense to this day. Like even
it's benevolence, like they were up against like omnipotence, benevolence, whatever you want to call it, because it wasn't like it reveals itself, and now we have to, it doesn't have a Godzilla. Yeah, there's not like, and now we have to fight it with an army or something like that. It was like, even what the significance of this child, what this child would actually do, it's never even really touched upon. You just realize that the whole film, like when the credits finally roll, you were thinking, I'd say people who know films a lot better than we do, like other directors and stuff, and said that was an important movie.
Oh, 100%.
You know, I'd say people, if even at the time, could say that was again a watershed moment, because now we didn't have to have, like, swamp monsters and stuff like that, because don't forget that this there was also a very campy era of horror in the 50s and stuff like that. Not saying I'm sure there's a lot of gems there, but like there was this was
a lot of Boris Karloff and all the Universal monsters. They came in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, but this never actually showed its bad guy bar, like, kind of images during the rape scene. Yeah, and it was also extremely controversial to do, because it was one of the first rape scenes like actually recorded.
That scene's so trippy though.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and she's on the boat and on the ship and shit like that, like, and she's like going like and she wakes up with all these scratches we touched on earlier, and it's like, it's kind of necrophilic. It's like a weird scene.
And that was it, yeah. And I know, like, when couples are trying to conceive, that there's like windows and stuff like that, but like, no.
I'd say to any couple that if you're trying to conceive, just have sex a lot.
Yeah.
Just don't aim for windows. Just enjoy one another.
Yeah.
Hashtag Vinnie Green.
I don't just like, that was quite deep in me, but hashtag me.
Yeah. Because nothing gets as deep as Vinnie Green.
Yeah. If you like me too, you're going to love just me.
Yeah. Hashtag just me. But what were we talking about? Yeah, so yeah, it's lasting legacy, like, as I was saying, but the subgenre itself still weaponizes suspense in a way that, like, a slasher uses gore, like, and I think, like, when you look at some of the best horror movies, they borderline on being a thriller. And I think that's when you look at, like, a Jaws or a Halloween, or like even.
Well, this is a psychological thriller.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and then the horror aspect, as you touched on earlier, is the fact that it's witches and
Yeah.
Satan is doing it to her.
There you go.
I mean,
That's. I think horror. I've always maintained horror lends itself to everything from comedy to thriller to psychological.
100%.
More than any other genre.
Yeah.
I just think it just beautifully does because it's only
Because violence can be horrific and humorous.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Anything can with good storytelling. But it's just funny to think that like 1968, all of these much more money going into films now, and obviously the capabilities of even small studios, and Rosemary's Baby still stands out in 2021, watching it kind of going, wow, a damn fine film. Yeah. That's what you were saying about weaponizing suspense. It's actually still did it to a degree that 99% of horrors actually can't.
Yeah.
And again, when a film is not just, again, watershed moment in its concepts and its execution, it's also lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And it was lightning in a bottle. Tell me a better Rosemary's Baby than Rosemary's Baby, because there was other Rosemary's Babies.
Yeah. No, like, the only thing in terms of, like, quality would probably be, like, even Exorcist and Omen are not even really comparable.
They're quite raw.
Yeah. But
you know, when in comparison, they're not as neat.
Just very different, you know, because, like, one, like Rosemary's Baby, she's giving birth to the Antichrist. Whereas, Omen
Exorcist tried to shock you. Yeah. Rosemary's Baby wasn't necessarily about shock. It was about that discomfort. And
it was John Frankenheimer. No, he did the sequel, did he? William Friedrich. I think. Friedrich? When you talk, sorry?
Okay. This is the thing that Vinny does, where every now and again he'll have a flyaway thought that's absolutely nothing got to do with what we're talking about. If he doesn't find out, he's going to go absolutely
I'll have
crazy.
to written by William Blatty, directed by William Friedkin.
There you go.
There you go. I think John Frankenheimer might have done the sequel. No. I'm getting mixed up with French Connection.
Duh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I knew that all along. I was just enjoying the show.
I only seen it for the first time recently. Really good movies.
Oh, there you go.
The second one's weird. There's a whole like
Rosemary's Baby not having a second film.
Does not. I don't think it does. Does it? No.
I respect that as well, because if this went in, we didn't talk about its box office. It made almost to the button 10 times its money.
30 million or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, 33 of 3.4 or something like that. Massive. But I have to respect the integrity when they're going, do what with it?
Yeah.
Do what? Especially if you have a film and it's all open-ended, and then you're kind of going, well, then I would have to tie up this, and this so that I can continue the story, and I'm not willing to do that. I love that. I love the fact that I left it the fuck alone.
Yeah.
And there's not if there's one thing horror could use, it's enough people writing a story and realizing, you know what, I'm just going to diminish the quality of this.
Especially being Roman Polanski, who doesn't leave things alone.
Yeah. Oh. Coming at him from more angles than a Roman Polanski hot tub.
But so like what were you saying? Polanski. Hey, you're saying that like it didn't get a sequence stuff, but like I was what I was going to say to you was sometimes the best strength of a standalone movie is that it's such a well-contained story that it doesn't not that it doesn't merit a sequel, it doesn't need a sequel. But a lot of movies that go, I want to make my Rosemary's Baby.
Yes.
I want to make something in that vein that has that similar
and go
impact.
ahead.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
And that's why we have.
But if you bring back Mia Farrow and you bring back Ruth Gordon, then you better have a damn fine reason to do so.
Yeah.
Because they made it great. And unfortunately, I'm not a sins of the father type guy in my day-to-day life, but a second film can diminish a first film.
Oh, 100%.
You can bring in different directors, you can do absolutely everything you want. A second film can diminish a first film.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's happened so many times.
Yeah.
Like, so you were saying, like, you know, we were talking about the acceptance, like at the very end, even though like she finds out that could be like this child is the spawn of Satan, and like she was, even though she has her child now, even though she got it by the weirdest fucking means, like, you know what I mean, she decided that she was still going to be this child's mother, because in the end of the day it is her child, you know what I mean? Like,
here's my thinking on that, you know, and I'm going to say something quite, it's dark, I'm not trying to make light, but you know, when somebody has tragedy and it's all surrounded by mystery, somebody goes missing and then they come back with the worst possible news. I'm afraid we found them and they passed away, we believe it was this, that and the other, and everything you're being told is absolutely fucking horrific, but it's an answer. And I think for all of the culmination of all of her insanity, everybody tells her the truth. Even Guy tells her the truth. and that it's her baby, that Lucifer's the father. Like, I mean, the absolute most horrendous shit you could imagine. But at the same time, all she's been doing is obsessing and trying to get to the bottom of something.
Yeah.
And then everyone tells her the truth. So there must be, it just plays with the human psyche in the way that sometimes people will just like, okay, fine, because this has been so much hell trying to get to here. At least I know.
Yeah.
And again, there's just obviously the instincts of a mother to just accept a child and love it.
Yeah.
Is also something that is like well known, and I think that's where the film ends, and I think it's a very powerful ending. And
it's the kind of call back to like even serial killers' mothers still love them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because they're still their child.
Absolutely,
They'd see them forevermore as their child.
Yeah.
They'd see them pass.
And even at this time, the real crazy thing is that this child hasn't actually done anything.
Yeah.
The child itself hasn't done anything.
Yeah, but his eyes must be fairly fucked up.
Yeah, but that's it. And they never explain it. I don't I doubt there was anything even in the crib in the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just actors.
I think it was Roman Polanski. Oh my God, it's eyes!
Damn your eyes!
And it's fat and normal eyes.
What a fantastic! It was a fantastic ending to a fantastic film.
Yeah.
From fantastic standalone. And after all horror films I've been watching lately, it would definitely, I'd say if there was like, somebody said I want to know what the horror genre is about, it would have to be in my top 5
of all time.
Actually, to be honest, influential.
Yeah,
I give the top of all time. To be honest with you, that's a moving target. The Thing, Hellraiser, they've been cemented in 2 of the places. Maybe Reanimator, but that's my own personal preference. That's how
in terms of influential horrors, like in terms of their influence on their subgenres, like Rosemary's Babies, we already touched about, and then you have Halloween's, and then you have like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because that showed you can go an extra level with the gore, and
also the very uncomfortable subjects of incest and body gore and
hashtag Lannisters always pay their debts. So like, no, when you look back at this movie, like, do you think well, it's just, we're over 40 years now from when it came out. Like, do you think in another 40 years people are still going to be watching this fucking movie?
We're over 50.
50 years, is
53 years.
Yeah, clearly I don't do maths good.
At least I make word good.
Do I?
But 53 years, man. Imagine that. Imagine that.
53 years. Like,
and honest to God, I think that's why this film is so iconic. I would think that they still show this in film school. That's how.
And it plays so well. Like, I watch it today. Like, 53-year. It doesn't look like a 53-year-old movie. Like,
but there's even just the relatability and the complete non-relatability of the characters. Yeah. It felt like just people you meet now.
Mad that the 60s or 50 years ago.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you were born in 1971, you're 50.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's depressing.
Oh my God. Do you remember being 50?
Oh God.
All jokes.
They threw me a surprise party. No one told me about it. And I wasn't at it.
Yeah, it was a great night though.
But yeah, I for a film to have that kind of staying power, because we've done A Quiet Place and films like that we think are going to age really, really well. Again, Quiet Place might have been a watershed moment because it was such a great sensory deprivation horror.
Exactly.
And that's it. Like this is new. Yeah. I know that other people have done it. I just think Quiet Place did it on such a scale.
Yeah, it hit the mainstream.
Just absolutely fantastic. Yeah. But like, we were wondering how will it age, and the truth of the matter is we can't possibly know because it's not 53 years old. It's just But Rosemary's Baby, just to watch it, having watched it last night, and gone, my God, this is still everything I want from a horror film in this day and age. And a lot of times films are so samey that even the stuff that can be quite good, like the gore and stuff, you tire out. But I have not apparently seen enough Rosemary's Babies to have tired of it. Yeah, it's still so timeless and original, and it's shot beautifully.
And as you said earlier, it's 2 hours long. It's over 2 hours long, but the way it's paced and her journey from her beautiful life to this fucking hellscape she's now living in, is so well done and so well paced that it feels like a 90-minute movie. Like this, and that's like, because most horror should be 90 minutes, but when you have a real proper suspense story. And even this, it's so insular, the story is. It's like, it's not huge. It's all contained within 5, 6,
Well, that's what I
7,
mean.
or
It's
8
a huge
characters.
concept inside of a small thing.
Yeah.
There's the neighbors.
Exactly,
There's
and to do that for 2 hours is like 4 or 5 locations, and her trying to unravel this conspiracy, and her trying to unravel like maybe my distrust is actually what's in my mind. It's
this
not
could be a play.
Yeah, exactly. You know
But it
what I mean?
could. You could put this on a stage.
I'm sure it has been.
I'm sure it has been.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has been. There's certain films you obviously can. They take place in moving cars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's shootouts. There's massive sceneries. There's banks and there's massive corporate offices and stuff like that. But this isn't. This is what I'm saying. It was such a huge conspiracy inside of a microcosm.
Yeah.
It means the ascension of the Antichrist.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it was all taking place in an apartment block.
Yeah, and
that's so fantastic.
and it's like no matter how few people she knew, every single new person in her life seemed to be part of this conspiracy. Like you know
the
what I
Truman
mean?
showed her.
Yeah,
But they did, you know.
like wasn't the only time she ever seemed kind of normal in the whole film is when she had all her old friends over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of like she looked at her life, what it used to be, and I think that's where she kind of breaks down, just and she starts crying. Like,
But she had people in her life for a brief period of time there that had no agenda.
Yeah,
That were just there.
they're just friends.
They were just friends.
Yeah.
There were, no agenda bar having a drink or a good time and a chat or whatever. None whatsoever. And but then you have everybody else in, and you are like, she was the most important thing in their universe.
Yeah,
And they couldn't act like it because that was overselling. But they also had to be like, again, helicopter parents, tiger parents, all of the above. You know, and I don't know where I would really fault this film if I had to. This is why I was saying we need to watch some bad films, man, so we can shit on some films.
Like,
We're not just fanboying all the time.
when you see the subtlety of this movie though played up against like something in a similar vein, like End of Days, where like
that's a good example.
Robin Tunney from The Mentalist and Vertical Image, she was like, her character's name was Christine York, and Aaron Schwarzenegger's trying to figure out the name, and he's like Chris York, Christine York, and it's like when you look at it, it's Christ in New York.
Oh my god, I forgot that.
So like, you know, so that's what I'm saying, like when you have, like, because you look at End of Days, they went to the other end of the spectrum and tried to make it as big as
Remember,
possible.
even like, I mean, the opening scene in End of Days, it's a good example because what you see is the entity of Satan, even though he's essentially like you know, the way wind, you know, the way images that you're looking at have a tendency
Like
to get
a
wavy,
silhouette or
or you know, like when you're looking at a desert plain,
The humidity
the
or something.
humidity makes it kind of look like it was just that. You couldn't really take it in or perceive it, but there it was. Like the actual the entity of the Antichrist or Satan himself, and then it was all because Gabriel Byrne, it was all completely up. He goes up and he grabs that woman's boob, gives her a kiss, the whole place blows up, and they were like,
The
end
dude
of
has a
days.
fucking tree with a daughter and a mother in that movie as well, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Proper Irish style.
Yeah, he was a great Satan.
We call it a sausage roll here.
But no, that's what I'm talking about. That film was like all in your face.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when you have like something like so huge, like Satan or the devil, that you have this temptation to go massive with your story.
Yeah.
When you don't really need to, you can perceive.
But you can
it.
in 1999, 98, when End of Days was based on the turn of the millennium.
Yeah, 2K.
But at that stage, they had the facilities to.
Yeah.
And just because you have it doesn't mean you can use it. But End of Days was what End of Days should have been.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like, so I'm not saying these films shouldn't exist. I'm just saying how much I respect.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, when you look at what Roman Polanski did, right, is the temptation can be to go big when it's all about the devil. But he resisted temptation and kind of encapsulated what would be like to have someone pretty much having like nearly postpartum depression or a mental breakdown during pregnancy. Where they're trying to explain it away because I've never been pregnant before, it's all part of the process. And he kind of leaned on real fears a woman would have during a pregnancy and kind of amped it up to the nth degree. What if my child comes out deformed? What if my child comes out and they're sick or they have a mental illness or something? But this is like the nth degree of like, what if my child comes out and it's the fucking Antichrist? You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I liked about it. He uses real fears and what a woman would go through or what would I know, you know? But like, you know, during a pregnancy, and he ramps them up into a satanic kind of way. Like as you said earlier, if they take out the demons and the witches and stuff, it could still be play as a perfect like suspense
psychological thriller. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, is she just going mad or whatever? You know,
well,
what I
maybe,
mean?
and she could, like, if you took all that out, it could have been that she was just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Like, that's the thing, and from her perspective, she has to be questioning everything all
like
the time.
if you rewrote the end of the movie and it was all in her mind, it still would have made perfect sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it still would have played really well. Like,
Yeah,
you know
and then the end is the neighbours get like fighting for her and getting her the help she needs.
Yeah, exactly.
And
she
they
goes
were
and
all like
mentions it
salt
through-
of the earth or something like
Yeah.
that,
And
instead of salted the earth.
You could literally like have the last scene where she's in a mental institute and they're like they put her in a straitjacket. She thinks she's been like burnt at the stake or something.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
cool.
Like,
Yeah. That's it. You could really fuck with it. And again, you can say what you want to Roman Polanski. I'm not coming to his. And he
That's
wrote the
like
screenplay too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this guy made.
That's what I'm saying. Horrible person, but a really good filmmaker.
Oh my
like,
God, like.
Yeah.
And this was his first English film.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was Polish, wasn't he? Isn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah, Roman Polanski. Yeah. So I mean, talking about coming in and making your stamp on it straight away.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal filmmaker.
Yeah. Just a horrifically bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so no, when you look at Rosemary's Baby, right, as you said, it's 53 years gone. We got like fucking like The Omen, Exorcist, whatever, and all the way through. It's in
The unseen, but like huge entity is a very Rosemary's Baby thing
exactly
to me.
like the inspirations and the impact it's had throughout the horror. The
I'm sure it had its own inspirations, but this was a huge explosion.
Yeah, but when we go
forward.
back 53 years, it's a long way for us to go
It's
back.
a long way to go back, man. It's a long way to go back.
If it does have its inspirations, it's probably past our movie knowledge. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, I just think that it's undoubted when you look at it. I didn't even realize 52 years is insane. Like, it's over half a century old. And you look back and this movie's so relevant nowadays, and the way it plays with your mind, and it's so well, like, I don't know, like the way I want to put it, like, no, it's so well, I don't know, equipped or something like the
Constructed.
well constructed, to kind of play the way it plays with your mind and the way it plays in the fears of like you as a person. Should you trust people just because of who they are in your life? And is there more to things, and like situations can always have different meanings and shit like that. And I think it likes to play with unease and unnerving and shit like, and I think it's really impressive the way it does that, where it lugs you into trust this person and trust this person, trust this person. And even you as an audience member, trust the person like the way Rosemary does before they pull the rug out from underneath you.
Yeah.
And you always feel like, and I think that's what I like about this movie is like, the even keenness of an audience member and the characters is very important, I think, in a story or movie. And you're always right there with Rosemary, all the way up through her story. You're right there. You feel like, oh, should I trust that person? Should I trust that? Should I trust that? And that's the best thing I think about Rosemary's Baby, that it keeps you with Rosemary the entire way through the story. And you always feel exactly what Rosemary feels. You feel the trust, you feel the unease, you feel the distrust. And then you feel like the whole collapse, the give in, like you succumb to it. Not because at the end of the story, you're just kind of happy for her at the end. That she's just happy. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
it.
and that's
the
best
closest thing this film gives you to catharsis.
Yeah, it's like it's like a weird happy ending because Rosemary's happy.
Because she's safe, it seems. Like, it seems whatever they had in store for her, and it was her absolutely horrific, they actually weren't trying to kill her.
Yeah.
You know, like, to her, she was able to walk through the room, and people weren't even that interested in her. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
People were kind of talking amongst themselves.
Roman was
now.
like, go away, sit down. And Roman was like, no, you go away, sit down. And then I think immediately it's like she felt accepted. Yeah. And now she's like, I'm going, this is my child.
Yeah.
And they accept me for who I am, whatever. I accept this child. And excuse me. And I think now, because she's so on the outside for so long, and now she's on the inside, and it's just like, kind of like a sigh of relief.
Oddly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like an odd sigh. It's like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. You know, that kind
but
of
I
thing.
love it. And you know, again, the bad guys won.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Films have a tendency to try and give you some sort of catharsis. And I like the fact that this didn't. It was just about telling a story, and it just did that extremely well.
Yeah.
But so in conclusion, how would you
wrap this up?
Yeah.
I just think Rosemary's Baby, as I touched on a second ago, its influence and the inspirations that it spawned on are very impressive. And the fact that we're still talking about 53 years later, and the fact that it's so fucking it's so impactful as a story, that even though I've seen it, I came to it a little bit late. The first time I seen it was 3 or 4 years ago. But as I said to you earlier, I've watched it every year since, and it's not a story that even grows on you. It just grows more impressive every time you watch it.
It's the same, like I said about the baby's eyes. Hated that I didn't get to see it because I thought that was they cheaped us out, and now I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rosemary's Baby. If you haven't seen it, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
There.
All right.
How-
So we get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
All right, folks. We see you next time, and that'll be tomorrow with 1970s Alice, Sweet Alice, and I'm your host Vincent Green.
I'm your host Noel and Vinnie.
This was Invasion Potty Snatchers. Carmax in the back. We see you next time, motherfuckers.
An idiot, I say.
Peace out.